Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. This webinar is being recorded, and this webinar has been brought to you by the North San Diego County Realtors. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen here. Ready? So my name is Brenda Caloca. I'm with the California Department of Insurance. I'm one of the outreach analysts, and I'm here to talk to you about insurance. So there we are. So the California Department of Insurance is led by Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara. We're one of the consumer protection agencies for the nation's largest insurance market. Now, under the direction of Commissioner Ricardo Lara, he is entrusted to protect consumers from fraud and abuse, regulate most lines of insurance, such as auto, homeowners, renters insurance, earthquake, fire, just to name a few, life insurance, and also maintain insurance solvency. And essentially, it's making sure that the funding and the money is available when you need it. We also set standards for agents and brokers licensing. So if you need to check the licensing status, we encourage you to go onto our website with the agent's license number to check if they're licensed. We also resolve consumer insurance complaints. So if you have any issues with your insurance claims, general questions to how to process claims, we are the regulatory agency that assists with that. Now, to dive in to give you a little perspective of the landscape of insurance and the crossroads in which it has gone through. The insurance market overall, there's in the state of California, about 115 insurance companies that do business throughout the state of California. Now, about 12 of those companies dominate about 85% of the homeowners insurance market share. Now, these 12 main insurance companies that dominate the state of California also cover other states throughout the United States. So when we think about Florida and New York, those are also companies that also insure in those areas. So now, however, in 2022, about 7 of those top 12 companies, insurance companies, have either paused or restricted new business. Now, due to the rising cost of labor, materials, inflation, and the disaster events that have occurred, such as in the states that I had mentioned, you started to see a shifting. And so because of that, we've started seeing insurance companies kind of pulling out or restraining from reinsuring. Now, it's also important to note that the fire severity zones, the maps that have come out, are really going to be helpful in being utilizing these maps to plan that so that you're prepared for the fires. They don't necessarily directly impact your insurance rate or availability, but I have great news coming up, so I'll be good diving into that. Now, due to that crossroads that the insurance industry we're experiencing, an insurance commissioner, Ricardo Lara, introduced the Sustainable Insurance Strategy. It is a comprehensive initiative aimed to modernize the state's insurance market, to make insurance more accessible for Californians, creating a resilient insurance marketplace while also protecting consumers and its communities from adverse impacts of course, climate change. It addresses the challenges posed by rising homeowners insurance costs for rebuilding and the growing risk of natural disasters, largely created by climate change. It also is a part of the largest insurance reform in 30 years since Proposition 103's inception. Now, the Sustainable Insurance Strategy is also has integrated a strategy which is innovative and forward-looking wildfire catastrophe model. Now, this is a risk management tool. And this risk management tool has different companies that do provide and have approved, such as Verzic, Moody's, KCNC. And this management tool has gone through a vetting process through our department, essentially ensuring that they're all equally the same, therefore eliminating companies from cherry picking from these catastrophe models. Now, this model and this risk tool is intended to help address California's coverage crisis by ensuring that consumer mitigation efforts and home hardening measures are factored into your insurance rates and become more insurable by requiring insurance companies to cover 85% of their market share in high and wildfire distressed areas. So while the catastrophe risk model is more accurate, it's taking note into what different perils can damage, and it's really not only looking at historical, but really looking at what in the present and the future. Um, it's a very useful tool that companies want to utilize. And so before they do so, before being able to add accurate pricing to their rates, they do have to commit to 85% coverage. So do stay tuned because we will be having a press release coming out soon, um, where we will be sharing about what those 5 companies that are already committed to begin writing new policies within our state. Now, its main goal is to remove current consumers from the FAIR plan, the California FAIR plan, back to the traditional market. And this will allow for more availability and essentially give us the opportunity to attack affordability in that sense. Now, transition over to our next is where we currently are now. We're fully active. So the strategy became effective January 1st. The catastrophe models have been approved since August, and we're currently reviewing insurance companies' rate applications. So companies are able to submit their applications now. Now, the immediate impact is insurers will be using department reviewed wildfire catastrophe models, and they're now mandated to provide and maintain coverage in wildfire-prone areas. Our next steps is to continue to roll out the regulations, continue to monitor the market's response, and ensuring consumer protections throughout this transition. Now, in terms of safer from wildfires, this is a framework that was a multi-agency that came together to draft these guidelines. Now, this is a crucial aspect of safeguarding our homes and communities from wildfires. The Safer from Wildfire initiative does give an aim to, number one, 3 layers of protection. Number one is protecting your home and business, protecting your immediate surrounding, and third, protecting the whole community. Now, there are specific guidelines for each area. The first one would be doing mitigation within your home, which would allow you to be more fire resistant. So that would include a Class A rated roof, 5-foot ember resistance zone around your property will be crucial. And that just means it's free from combustible materials. Now, in terms of expanding that to protecting your immediate surroundings, it's really just clearing the vegetation and debris from under the decks or removing combustible structures like sheds that can make a big difference. It's about really creating a defensible space by trimming trees and removing brush or debris within the area. And lastly, it's really encouraging the community to be involved as a whole and just coming together to become safer. And so what that means is you're working together to impact the different homes in your area and just a general region. And so you'll be achieving this by doing the proper steps to mitigating your homes using basically the Safer from Wildfires framework and achieving a fire risk reduction community. And essentially, you'll be able to get certified in this area. You'll be use it to provide it to your insurance company as a proof of the mitigation. Now, there are processes which I'll be diving into shortly, but I do want to give you an example of a community. I'm not sure if some of you may remember when the Paradise community suffered the devastated fires, which at that point it was one of the biggest. And they have since then rebuilt using the Safer from Wildfires framework. And so I just want to give you an example of what this community did here. So the fire erupted back in 2018 in Northern California, Butte County, using the Safer Wildfire Guide. So if you can see the homes, they have 5-foot fire zone resistant. They've been together by applying grants, working with different stakeholders to achieve the 5 under resistance zones and becoming certified as a wildfire awareness community. So this is the gravel replacing all the grass and greenery. The commissioner has been out there as well. That's just the community as a whole. Paradise is the name of the organization. We help with leading the efforts and ensuring the homes were built at a safer capacity. Now, Safer from Firewise community is a community risk reduction. It's a multi-stakeholder process. So it does include city entities, fire department, and this process is used to identify risk factors. It's unique to your community and it's used mitigation efforts and it's coordinated. It also uses a strategic approach. You're able to design a plan to how to be safer. It starts with as small as 8 dwelling units, and it can go as large as 2,500 units or dwelling units. You can create an action plan and be safer as a community. There are different organizations. I know there's Firewise Councils. I know there's one in San Diego, a pretty big one that actually helps with the planning and helps with the development of the plans to become fire safe. And OCFA offers free inspections. So there are resources out there. So I encourage you to start looking. It does require one of the community members to really take the initiative and the leadership to guide everybody else to become firewise. By doing so, you will be one of the first communities looked at now that insurance companies are coming back and are going to be underwriting more policies, especially in high fire distressed areas. They're going to be looking at the certification. Those individuals that have done the mitigation have lowered their risk. You're also able to obtain your risk score from your insurance company to really determine what is causing your rates to be so high. So that is that. Now, another thing to note is that there is a policy or a regulation that was passed January 1st, 2021. AB 3074 became law. And essentially, this law, what it entails is that you as a homeowner need to have a zone 0. And what they refer to as zone 0 is a 5-foot ember resistant zone, which is part of the general guidelines of Safer from Wildfires, which will help you get there. But essentially, this law will restrict combustible materials within 5 feet around your structure. And this will be implemented to areas that are located in a high or very high fire hazard severity zone. And that's where the maps that were designed will be able to help guide you as a community to determine where you are. We don't anticipate enforcement to take place, being that there's still development happening in terms of how it's going to be applied and just how it's all going to be rolled out. But they are anticipating for new construction to have implementation sometime this year. Existing structures, they forecast that they'll have some type of process sometime next year. So we kindly encourage you to be proactive and take those measures now and start doing the work now. There will be local jurisdictions like fire departments under the state mandate who will be administering and enforcing the provisions of AB 3074. So again, we just encourage you to take a proactive approach in utilizing the Safer from Wildfires guidelines. And this will also help you get insured, but also get better rates and be in compliance with AB 3074. Forming a community firewise will ensure that your entire community is safer. So definitely take that into consideration. Now, I do want to share with you some key legislative actions that are currently at the governor's desk, and they're really intended to protect and provide more protection and really help you in the process. Now, the AB 88, this really is a tax-free home hardening grant for communities. So if your community is looking to mitigate the home, this grant, once it becomes available, it will be, there'll be a process to apply. So make sure you are signed up. There are consumer alerts so that you stay in the know of when that will take place. The other strong initiative that is at the governor's desk is the SB 547, and that's the Business Insurance Protection Act. It really expands insurance non-renewal moratorium to include businesses, HOAs, and nonprofits. So that is an added protection that will help cover. Eliminate the List Act, SB 495. Essentially, before this legislation, consumers were only eligible to obtain 30% of their contents coverage without any inventory list. Now with the policy, you're able to get 60% of your contents coverage, but in order to obtain 100%, you still need an inventory list. So it's important that you are prepared and equipped with an inventory list and documentation prior to submitting for a claim. Now, the wildfire public motto, SB 429, essentially just create the first publicly available catastrophe wildfire risk model to support planning and increase transparency. And then in addition to those, we have the Insurance Wildfire Safety Act, AB1, which enhances the insurance discounts by requiring the Department of Insurance to regularly renew the Safer from Wildfires regulation. So it requires us to continue the efforts and not just allow time to go by and not look at it again. So it really forces us to stay on top of this. And next, the Fair Plan Sustainability Act, AB 2286. It provides additional financial stability to the Fair Plan, allowing it to have access to the catastrophe bonds and lines of credit for with commissioner review, of course. And then the Wildfire Public Catastrophe Model, which is SB 429, it established the nation's first public catastrophe model for wildfire and assist wildfire planning and really enhances transparency. Now, this is our consumer alerts. We encourage you to sign up so you can stay informed of new regulations, consumer safety education, unfair and deceptive business practices, and any insurance issues that arise so that you are in the loop and in the know. So I'll give you a few seconds to scan that. And lastly, we have a partnership introduction webinar. Essentially, this partnership is part of our efforts to really get the information out to consumers. It's vital information. A lot of consumers are not even aware of our department. So our efforts are really geared to promoting and sharing information about what to do, how we can be a resource, such as if you don't understand your policy, you can actually call our department, submit a request for assistance, and a specialist will be assigned to you to go over the policy with you and give you what you are covered for and just what the exclusions are if needed. We also assist with general questions if you have general questions on how to process a claim, or if you have any questions regarding your insurance coverages. Any questions really as it pertains to insurance coverages, we are the agency you want to contact to do that. Now, this partnership and webinar, we are focusing this month on labor in chamber organizations. Next month is Indigenous people. So every month we do have a focus. So stay in the loop so that you know what we have coming up next. Now, if you need to reach our department, you can contact our 1-800 number. There's always someone available to answer your call within regular business hours, or you can also go onto our webpage and submit and file a request for assistance. And you can also follow us through all our different social media platforms. So now I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. If anyone has questions, please go ahead and put them on the chat. So the question was to explain what I mean with CAL FIRE maps don't impact insurance. So the California fire maps, they really are, you can only add to those maps. So if, let's say, you did mitigation on your home, those don't reflect any mitigation. It doesn't reflect any proactive measures that cities, communities, or homeowners have actually taken into implementation in their properties. What it does is you only add to. If there's been a fire historically, you can only add to those maps. You can't remove, and it's really essentially intended to be used as a map to give you an idea of where the fires are, where they're highly prone, so that you as a owner can take more proactive measures into mitigation. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, I don't see any other questions. So this concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for hosting and having me, inviting me to come on to share this vital information with you all. And like I mentioned, if you have any questions or need to contact our department, you can reach us at 1-800-927-4357. Thank you, and you have a great day.